are talking about becoming a professional dancer. I also feel that I got myself in a situation yesterday as saying this was the theme and then realizing just how big of a topic this is. Becoming a dance teacher or opening up a studio one day of your own into the entertainment industry, it's a massive, massive topic. So decision to become a professional dancer is the key. Once you know, yes, my lifelong dream is to own a dance studio. Number one goal is to be in a musical. You need to be clear on your vision, and that's the key. That's going to drive you, and it's going to show you the path of where you should probably start focusing on. Focus is a hard word when you consider professional dancers, because even more so these days, professional dancers are not just triple threats, they're quadruple, even they're just super strong in every single way. Singing, dancing, acting, acrobatics, contortion. The pro world is hard now, always has been hard, but even so more now, because every single day as dancers we're always creating and always looking for something, the next step. We're always striving for perfection, which doesn't exist. And yes, sorry, it does in your own way. Everyone has their own form of perfection, but as a dancer, you're always striving for that. That's where, going back to that first point, that decision is the key. It doesn't have to be even really pinpointed. You can just say to yourself, do I want to dance full time and potentially go on to be a professional dancer? If you can make that decision first, if you can decide, yes, I want to do full time, I think that's the first step, especially if you wanted to get into things like backup dancing or video clips, contracts overseas, cruise ships, musicals. You will need some sort of professional training. There's thousands and thousands of dance studios, and a lot of them are very fun-based, which is what we want. We want to have fun in dance all the time. You never want to lose the fun in dance, obviously. But again, as I was saying, there are certain studios that will cater more so to that particular type of student that are wanting to continue a path into professional full-time dancing. Then again, you can have lots of studios. Again, you might be, if you're watching this, if you're a student of mine or somewhere else, you might be at a dance school where, you just go to have fun in each classes, just to keep up fitness or to see friends. But they might have a program or a certain number of students that have said to their school principal, Miss Lucy, I'm thinking of going professional or doing full-time training. Do you think I'd be able to do that? So I think every dance studio and every dance studio owner and every teacher loves to hear that when they hear it and know a student wants to continue into professional paths. Obviously, because we as teachers have been through that and what is ahead for them, so it's exciting, scary as well, because I think back to my full-time training, and it was scary some days and I was super nervous sometimes, but it was also the best 2 years of my life. And there's also one person in particular that I can actually thank for having that experience, for having such a positive full-time dance training experience. Decision is really the key. Once you've made a decision, whether it's a little step forward towards knowing what you might want to do when you're older, then that's going to help you out. 14, 15, you might want to think, I'm thinking about maybe doing it, but I'm not sure yet still. But I'm going to take my training, my ballet class on Tuesday, my jazz class on Thursday, my hip hop class on Friday. I'm going to take all those classes a little bit more serious. I'm going to put a little bit more, I'm not going to say pressure, but a little bit more something into those classes each week. Just throw yourself into your training. Now, I started dance quite late. I did ballet when I was younger, I think I was around 4 or 5. Once a week with my cousin at a primary school, just fun classes. And I remember going to the school, and I remember every ballet class that I had with my cousin, she didn't really care for ballet much at all, and she wanted to quit later on, which ended up making me have to quit because I got there with her mum, my auntie, and didn't have a lift there because my parents work full time. So I would go into the bathrooms and I would practice my splits, right and left, middle splits, before I went into the class. So I think that form of thinking came to me quite early. My cousin wanted to quit, so I couldn't get to dancing anyway. But I was always really active. I've always wanted to do something every day of the week, like been really, really busy. I played tennis when I was younger. I think I started in grade 2. Mum sent me over from school, probably 8 years old. Mum was like, yep, you're gonna start tennis lessons after school today, so just walk from school over to the tennis courts. They were like, I don't know, maybe 500 meters from our school. All the girls were older than me, and I just remember that really specifically, and I remember getting there and crying. But I always gave everything a go. I went and played tennis for 9 years, I think it was. So training through the week, competitions on the weekend. I was super proud of getting, captain one year. You were allowed to be or audition for the aerobics team at our primary school. That was my first step back into the dance sort of world. Auditioned for that in grade 3, was the only grade 3 to get accepted. All the other girls were in grade 6. It's crazy thinking about the things that you remember. Loved it, loved school aerobics, loved the competitions, loved learning, loved, getting stronger, and like thinking back now, push-ups were so easy, and I was like 10, And I remember wanting to do guitar. I think I learnt guitar for about a year in year 7. What else did I do? Coming into year 7, so my first year of high school, this is when I felt that I was at a point where I could propose to Mum. Mum, do you think I'd be able to do ballet? Do you think I'd be able to do jazz? And kind of grew from there. I searched for my dance school, set up my trials, and going back, this is, I was 13, it sounds so young. Started classes with them. Then one of my best friends, she moved from another dance school with me. I brought her for Bring a Friend Day, actually. From there, I just knew that, okay, they've been dancing since they were 3. So they've got 10 years of training, even if when you're 3, 4, 5, 6, it's just learning how to plie and point your foot. I knew that I had 10 years to catch up to everyone else. I did have to be a bit more strict on myself. I knew going to dancing that I was going to see, some of my closest friends, but it was a chance to start something that I wanted to give a real go. The studio that I studied at when I was in high school, 13. It was strict, but also super fun, but also because I knew that I wanted to eventually do something with my dancing, most likely. I didn't know when I was 13 that I wanted to be a professional dancer. I just knew that I wanted to dance and that I wanted to get really good at it, and that I had to make it happen fast because I had to catch up on that time. I think that a little bit of pressure is good, because if you're going to go into the professional world, you need to be able to handle pressure. You need to be able to handle criticism, constructive and negative, and you need to be able to handle a lot of disappointment, different opinions. Some things that will happen if you decide to be a professional dancer, some things will blow your mind and you won't understand it, but that's how the world works, and that's how the dancer's life is. Yeah, it's not easy, but it's one of the most exhilarating experiences that you will probably experience if that is something you want to do. Obviously, it's not going to make someone happy that doesn't want to be a dancer. No matter what happens in your dance career, whether you make it, whether you don't, whether you go on to be a superstar, whether you go on to do back-to-back contracts on a cruise ship, whether you open your own studio, whether you dance for J-Lo or the next big singer in the next 20 years, you have to remember where you began, where you came from, and you have to stay humble. There's no point in making a million connections with all these people and, getting all these offers and getting the jobs, getting the gigs, getting the contracts, and then being a horrible person. For example, if you get a job on a cruise ship, a privilege that you've got that. So you need to speak to your directors, to the other staff on the ship, to all the other dancers, to the musicians, to the lighting. You need to connect with everyone. You need to show them who you are as a person, not just as a dancer. You need to be nice. You need to be kind. You need to lift people up, because the person who owns that ship might know the sailor. Then he might know the director of the entertainment staff. The director of the entertainment staff might be best friends with the dance captain. And if you are rude to your dance captain or to your director or anyone that has to do with that contract, you won't get hired again. those people might know really, really great, amazing dancers, but they also know that they're nice people and that they can work well with them. So you need to understand that being humble and kind and having a good heart is basically as important as having your technique up here and your acrobatics up here and everything level. Be humble. Next thing is fulfillment. It needs to fulfill you. Let's just make an example. Olivia at my dance school, she has been training most of her life. She said to me, look, Miss Alicia, I'm thinking about going to do my full-time training. I just want your opinion. So first I would say, is it what you want at the time? We can always change what we want. Obviously, I wanted something very different when I was 4 to what I wanted now when I'm 33. So you need to decide, is full-time going to fulfill me? Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, well, I don't know because I haven't done it yet. Full-time training in a professional sense is a lot different than going to your dance classes that you just might take for an hour or two after school once or twice a week. I'm going to be completely honest with you now. If you think it's going to be like that and just learning routines every day, it's not. So I actually started full-time when I was 20. So I worked in a coffee shop, went on to do a full-time job at Mercedes-Benz, got my job at Mercedes-Benz because I was a dancer. They chose me out of 50 people and they knew that I would have good posture. I was obviously welcoming everyone in all the time that come to look at the car showroom. So yeah, being a dancer got me a job, front receptionist at Mercedes-Benz, and I worked there for a year. So when I was working full time, I knew that that was my point for me. I'd had a flight booked to Japan for a week, my very first overseas flight I'd ever been on. Decided to go by myself. I was meeting my best friend who was working at Tokyo Disney. Flew over there and I just knew just before I booked that holiday that full-time work, what I was doing as a receptionist, wasn't for me. I was still dancing 4 or 5 days a week at my dance school, but I needed more and I wanted to be dancing all the time. And I didn't want to do a normal 9 to 5 sort of job. I did my research. For me personally, it's always been very personal, I guess. I've always done it myself. I haven't had any family push, which I suppose is good, but then can also be bad. You know, I used to think I'd love my mum to push me and put me into every single class and make me do solos and everything. Like, I wanted that. Bit more of a relaxed family, not really in the dance world they were. So I sort of opened the doors for them, showed them the craziness of the dance world that it can be, but the amazing world that it is too. And I just thought, nah, I'm gonna do my full-time training. So I went to Japan in December of 2007, and the start of very end of January in 2008, I walked in the doors of Dance World Studios in South Melbourne. I auditioned back earlier in the year previous, and successfully got through. I remember in my audition having to hold the bar and show an arabesque. And I remember the lady she came up to me and she said, oh, that'll need to go. That fat, the back fat. So I must have had like a little roll. So when you do an arabesque. And she was like, that needs to go, that back fat needs to go. And I remember just laughing in my head. I never would have laughed out loud and said, what do you mean? Because it's normal. Like, you can say that. They need to watch out for things that are going to impact your career. So obviously your body is what gets you the job. So your body needs to look good constantly. Like, it can't go, oh, you know, I'll just eat whatever for a couple of months and then I'll go on a diet and then that'll be okay. No. You've got to be really good with your nutrition. You've always got to watch your body. Yes, that's your sale point. So they're going to judge you from your physical appearance straight away. They have to. That's their job. I'm not going to say negative body experience, but it's definitely something that I remember. But going back to before, when I said that there's one person that definitely helped me make my choice that I wanted to do professional dancing, And that was my jazz teacher. She taught me for years doing jazz. Everyone in our class, like our classes were big, and like everyone was such good friends, and there was no horrible competition. It was always really healthy, strong, lifting competition. Everyone always pushed themselves in every class. And I remember asking my jazz teacher, look, I'm thinking about doing it next year. Like, do you think I've got a shot at it? And I remember seeing her face look so worried. And I remember her just saying to me, no, you don't have the best memory. So that was also a negative, but positive for me, because I knew by her pointing that out that my memory was my weaker point to work on. So that year before I went to do my professional training, my last year at my dance studio, I pushed myself as much as I could. Your teachers always see that. All the little extra things that you do as a dancer, teachers always see it, and it can be the tiniest thing, and it makes us so proud. Nothing ever goes unnoticed. You've got to find that little push in yourself, I think, sometimes. Definitely when you know you want to be a professional dancer, though. You've got to find that, and you've got to dig it out, and you've got to use it all the time. Understand how you learn. I knew that memory was my weak point, so I really focused on it. And I found my ways that I remembered things. And for me, it was rhyming or thinking of funny words. I always say to my ballet dancers when they're younger, learning the word derriere, which means behind. I always used to remember that because I thought, okay, derriere, it sounds like diarrhea, and diarrhea comes from behind. Once you get to that full-time world and into full-time training, memory and picking up steps and technique are really, really important. Yeah, you don't want to be left behind and be working on that when you get to full-time. You want to try and perfect everything before you go full-time. And then once you're in full-time, it can just be basically working on your performance skills and upskilling basically everything that you've learned. Yeah, I'm going to skip over nutrition because I think, and I know that it's a very big thing in dance, and I don't think it's something that I should just skim over lightly. So we'll leave nutrition to another day. Lifestyle. Now, this is something that will and has to change if you are considering a career in dance. It can't stay the same. A professional athlete cannot have the same lifestyle as someone who works a desk job 9 to 5. I remember when I was doing full-time, we all had a gym membership. It was part of our course that we had to go to the gym. I would be at the gym most mornings in my second year. This is when I got crazy passionate, and I was like, okay, this is my last year. I need to give this my all. Because again, dance training full-time, I'm going to be honest, it's not cheap at all. Like, unless you get accepted in somewhere with a scholarship, it's expensive. So if you realize and you appreciate money, and you appreciate if it's your family paying for it for you, or if it's your own money. If it's your own money, you're going to appreciate it even more so. But that doesn't mean that if your family has the money to pay and support you through your full-time training, it doesn't mean go in there willy-nilly and do your classes every day. You've got to do those extra things. So that's where I thought, nah, I'm doing, this is thousands of dollars each year, so I'm going to do extra. I'm going to go to the gym every morning at 6 o'clock. I'm going to do a spin class. Then I'm going to stay there till 9 o'clock, or I'm going to go have breakfast and get a coffee and then come back, do the, cardio that we're supposed to be doing there for an hour or whatever it is. And remember, this is going back, 10 years or so. Gym and activewear and all that wasn't so big then. Instagram and Facebook weren't even, I didn't even have a Facebook account until I was in my second year of full-time training. So kids now that are doing full-time and just entering into the pro world, it's awesome. They are going to have so many memories videoed. I kick myself. The amount of footage that I could have of the shows and the, gigs, jobs that I've done over the years, I have got hardly any footage, and it's really frustrating. So that's where I think social media has really helped the dancers of today. But at the same time, it's also pulling us all down, because when you see dancers constantly on Instagram or Facebook and they're doing 6 turns and you can only do a double, it's good. It makes you strive to want to do 6 or 10 or 12, but it also makes you a little bit anxious and a bit nervous, and you can find that negativity because you're like, oh, I can't, and then you keep comparing. So that's where social media can be good, but it also can be bad. But yeah, I wish I had have been on top of just filming everything that I did. So if you're a dancer and you're in full-time now, or you're about to go professional, record everything. A little bit competitive sometimes, yeah. Your lifestyle is going to change, I'm not going to lie. If you've got a boyfriend or a girlfriend, or seeing someone now, that's fine, but you're going to have to probably say to them, look, you're going to be my second option at the moment. Because remember, going back what we just said, you or your family or someone, or if you're not on a scholarship, have paid thousands and thousands of dollars to train professionally and get this full-time training. So if you are seeing someone or have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they need to understand that. They need to be on the same level as you, because if they aren't, it won't work and it's going to affect your training. They're going to pull you back and they're going to say, why aren't you with me? Why are you always in ballet? Why do you always have to train after class? Why do you have to do extra rehearsals for your exams? Non-dancers don't understand the amount of work that we have to put in. We're striving for perfection that you can't get. Imagine the work you have to put in to be perfect if it's not reachable. Yeah, we want to try and imagine that it's reachable, but as a dancer, perfection always gets pushed up and up and up and up and up. Yeah, you're always reaching for it, but it's always going to keep stepping away because we're always progressing. We're always getting better. We've learned that step. Cool. Then we go on to the next one and the next one and the next one. So your boyfriends and your girlfriends and anyone you're seeing, they're going to have to be on the same page as you. Yeah. They need to understand that they are most likely going to be second a lot of this time for the next year or two, could be 3 years. Yeah, if that isn't your choice to put a partner or a boyfriend or girlfriend second, then that's fine. But just remember, you are still young at that time in your life when you're starting full time, and you need to decide what is the most important thing to you. Because if you're going to put equally amount of energy into your training as you are into your relationship, one of them's going to suffer somewhere. Yeah, no one can ever do 50-50 at that age. I don't believe. Yeah, you might be able to, but I think at that age there's so much going on in your head, in your personal life, in your family life, in your dance life. There's just so much going on that to try and give someone 100% of you and then give your 100% to dancing, like 50's gone to them, 50's gone to dancing. Okay, where's you giving back to your family? Where's you giving back to just you? Where's you and your pets? Where's you and your other sports that you want to do, or your extracurricular activities? Going into full-time training doesn't just mean you just have to do dancing. There is still time to do other things. Like, you might want to take up a craft or something that's at least going to take your mind off constantly focusing on the one thing all the time. Went the exact opposite. I went more of a just dance. I didn't worry about anything else. Obviously, I kept in contact with family and everything, but my Monday to Saturday was dancing. In my first year of full-time training, I was living, an hour and a half away, so I'd have to be on the train 2 hours before class started. So I'd be on the train at about 6 a.m, sometimes 5:30. Stay on the train for an hour. I'd either sleep or I'd sew sequins or, study exam work, something on the train, otherwise sleep. Always be at least half an hour or more early to class. Full-time's a bit different than just being at the studio. So you'd get there, put your clothes in your bag in your locker, get in your ballet clothes or whatever class you've got first. Given you'll have days where you're like, oh God, this is killing, or my body's so sore, or I'm tired. But once you start the class, once you've got past your warm-up, it's like you just hit this pro sort of stage. Your body just clicks and goes, this is what I wanted to do, this is what you're doing now, so do it. Don't sulk and don't be annoyed about the soreness or the tiredness. You just got to get over it. Some people might be able to balance a healthy social life, healthy partner, family life, everything. For me, I focused on just my family when I saw them and just my dance career. There are going to be things you're going to miss out on. That moves into schoolies, camps. Lots of things do have to be compromised, and that starts from when you're in high school. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, oh, no, like high school comes first and then dance comes second. This is going back to where I said at the very beginning, you need to kind of find the direction. Because if you're not willing to compromise those school camps, those parties, boyfriends and girlfriends, you're going to get to a point where you're going to choose one or the other. Like, I had to compromise a lot, and I know all my dance friends as well. I didn't go to schoolies when I finished high school. I waited till I was 21. All of us have still stuck into some form of job to do with dance or entertainment. We started with, I think, it was either 23 or 26 people. Yeah, so things will need to be compromised. So just be prepared for compromise. Age of when to start full-time training is a personal thing, I think. I personally think that 13, 14 is probably too young. I don't think that at that age you've really worked out exactly what you want. And I know that's coming from me as a personal decision, because I know and I can pinpoint that exact moment. I remember I was, as I said, working at Mercedes-Benz, sitting at reception. That's when I came across Dance World, and I remember my jazz teacher had been there, and I knew lots of other teachers that have gone through Dance World. And I just remember that exact day where I knew I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a professional dancer, or I'm going to train full-time to hopefully become a professional dancer. You dance growing up at a dance studio. You decide, maybe I want to give full-time a try. You do your 2-3 years of full-time. You finish it, and then what happens? So basically at most of the full-time colleges, just for example in Melbourne here, there's probably 5 or 6 that I can come off the top of my head, that are big schools, producing great dancers, professional dancers these days. Most of them will have an agency, so they'll either accept you straight into their agency, or they might have auditions and they'll let you know if you've made it in. So then you'll be on their books, as they say, and certain jobs will come up and they'll let you know. They might send you an email with a briefing, and then you'll go to the audition and will happen from there. Let's say, for example, you've got into your school's agency on a scholarship, so you don't have to pay to be with them, and they said, right, we're going to send you to Disney auditions next week. You go to the audition, you get through all the way to the end, wait patiently for a week or two, and then you hear from Disney, they've accepted you in, amazing, ecstatic, jumping on the other end of the phone, and then they say, we'll see you in 2 weeks, and your agent starts organising everything, liaising with the job or the company, for in this instance Disney, and that agency will take a cut out of your wage when Disney or whatever job it is pays you. I chose to do a freelance career. So a freelance career is a little bit different. So instead of having the agent source the jobs for you, basically you're looking for them yourself. Big note. If you are thinking of dancing professionally, make sure you take out your super. So that's the difference between freelancing. So you basically source the jobs and get them yourselves, whereas an agent will find the jobs for you and send briefs to you if you correspond with what they need. Is decide what genre or what sort of style or path you want to take, whether it might be the musical theatre path, got auditioning for musicals, shows and things, or it might be, your biggest goal might be to get a contract on a cruise ship, might be to get in television, you might want to be a host, cameras, lighting. After you've done your full-time, you might think, I don't think I actually want to dance myself. I do know quite a lot of people that have done their full-time training, and after they've finished, it's such a intense moment in your life that I think it either makes you or breaks you. You either find that you want to do it and you're going to keep going and that's what you do, or you don't want to do it, or you also might want to do it for a little bit and then it sort of dwindles off. A lot of people I have met after full-time have said that, it just wasn't for me, but I don't think I'm the greatest dancer, but I know I'm a great teacher. A lot of the people that I know that are top, awesome, amazing dancers, like, they might not be the best teacher, but that's because they've focused on different focal points for what they need as a dancer. Becoming a teacher is a completely different sort of ball game. So again, you will need some sort of full-time training. Becoming a teacher, it depends also how you want to teach, where you want to teach, and what level you want to teach. To become a dance teacher within a high school, so teaching VCE dance and things like that, then that would be under, you would go to more university and study dance and management or something like that. But it's a bit tricky how to explain the difference between full-time courses and a university, because they're basically the same. But for me, the difference from what I know of, people that are wanting to teach dance just in a high school form, because it is more structured and has to be, you know, there's a lot of theory work that can be done just through a university. A full-time training college or course is more for dancers themselves that want to be professional in professional jobs. So again, you might have, you know, I don't want to offend anyone watching this. People can go to university and become a professional dancer, but your doors will be probably open more. You'll be open to a bit more opportunity if you're in the realm of a full-time training college, if that makes sense, in the comparison to a university. The main thing is that you need to think about your happiness. If dancing makes you happy, I can only say go for it, because we're in a society where naturally a lot of people think you can't have a career in dance. She's not going to be a prima ballerina. She can't be a professional dancer. He's a bit uncoordinated. I don't think it's really going to work. If you want something really bad, you can get it. Think about my own personal situation. I started late. I started when I was 13. Some ballet dancers are going into full-time professional training when they're 13, 14. The main thing I'm trying to say is to don't forget about your happiness, but if you are wanting to do your full-time training, just be prepared that it's going to be 2 or 3 years of hard work. Hard work. Yeah, you're going to cry, you're going to be sore, you're going to be stiff, you're going to be angry, you're going to be sad, you're going to be ecstatic, you're going to be grumpy, you're going to be angry. There are going to be so many emotions that come out of it. But as I said, my professional full-time training were the best 2 years of my life. Given it the last month or two when we're in our final exams, I was like, get me out of here. I just want to dance professionally already. I want to be in a show. I want to be in something. And I think I got a little bit too eager at the end. Because I let that feeling in, it let down my exams as well. So 10 years later, I look back now and I'm like, oh, if I could do it again, I would. It's honestly the best thing that I ever did. And it's introduced me to so many amazing people that I still speak to. And it's made me the person I am, because it's just such an amazing experience to be able to go into a studio and dance your heart out for 8 hours a day, more sometimes when we came to shows. It's just an awesome experience. And no matter if you complete your full-time training and go on to be a professional dancer and get jobs out of it or not, it's still going to be a great experience for you, and it will open up so many doors. So I hope I've given you a little bit of light on what it's like. So I hope you enjoyed our Talk About It Tuesdays on professional dance life.